Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.
Welcome to Please Remain Calm. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I am Daniel Gonzalez. As always, folks, the opinions expressed here on the Please Remain Calm podcast are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services, or, for this episode, the Los Angeles County Fire Department as well.
Oh, it's a big county episode, you guys.
Big county episode. Our guest today is Trevor Williams. Trevor, say hi.
Hey, happy to be here.
Trevor is a firefighter with the LA County Fire Department, actually right here near the studio at Fire Station 8 in West Hollywood here. But Trevor has also developed the Williams key, which is a forcible entry tool that I've been seeing advertised all over the place. You know, if you're in this little niche world of like following firefighters and firefighter pages and whatnot, there's no way you've avoided seeing the Williams key. It's been all over the place.
And it's funny too, because it's a forcible entry tool. So it's to, you know, force open doors and gates, stuff like that, right? And when you watch like the advertising for it, it's kind of jarring.
Yeah.
If you're just looking at it as like, damn, I got to watch my house.
Yeah. I got to get new
like,
locks.
I'm scared. This thing's in the streets.
This guy's got this key. It opens everything.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, we've been seeing it everywhere, and kind of got in touch with each other to talk about coming on the podcast, because if you are involved with firefighting at all, if you're coming up as a firefighter, if you've been on the job for a while, forcible entry is like one of our biggest things that we do. It's something that is used, it can be used on every call, whether it's a medical run, a fire call, a rescue, anything like that. There's security these days, especially with crime being up and all that stuff. They're finding out new ways to try to keep places secure. How to make it harder for any old Yahoo to open up a gate or open up a door and shit like that. It's something that every level of firefighter, a first month firefighter, and somebody who's been, you know, like us, who's, you know, 10 years on the job, 20 years on the job.
Or a dummy like me that locks himself out of the house.
Well, especially if you work in a place like my district, right? 63's, Venice. We were just talking about the fire we had the other day. Actually, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about that fire, man.
Let's gather around.
Since I brought it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, man. Since I brought it up. Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it. It's kind of funny because I'm assigned to the rescue, right? I've been, I was at some pretty solid spots in South Central, and I was at Nines downtown about 10 years of my career right before I got to 63s and went to the paramedic rescue. 10 years of fighting fire and lifting patients, stuff like that will do that to you. Jack my back up, bulging discs, you know. And so being on the rescue was like, okay, you know, let me take a little break from the physicality of it and be on the rescue. So being on the rescue, we still go to fires, obviously, but typically, especially in Battalion 4, Battalion 13, some of the busier battalions, you'll get attached to the fire company. You might get attached to the engine company to pull a second line, or you'll get attached to the truck on a commercial or something like that to go up and help cut up there. But for us in Battalion 4, they pretty much keep us like medical group, right? We'll still get all suited up and everything, but we'll pull all our medical gear out, and basically we're standby for our guys that are there if they get hurt, or if they pull somebody out of the fire. There's a paramedic rescue right there with all our gear, and we can try to, you know, make a save or save somebody's life. So the other day we get, I was actually day 3 of a 72. So I was coming back from 58. So I had worked the day of 58. So I'm coming back, our dad's old station. And so I get back about 7 o'clock back to 63s, putting all our stuff on the rig. And the engine gets a rubbish fire. So they take off to the boardwalk, the rubbish fire. And when they get there, it's a fully involved commercial. Right, it's a row of commercials. There's a bunch of businesses on the boardwalk there. But talking about the Williams key, I mean, all of those businesses have crazy forcible entry issues and stuff like that. But yeah, they get there. You know, the building's billowing smoke. They fill out the assignment, so we get attached with the light force to fill out the structure assignment. Well, the way 63s is situated, we're parked right in front of the truck in the station. And when we get runs, when we get fires on the boardwalk, The boardwalk area down there is, the streets are a little weird and funky. The boardwalk side is where the addresses are, but that's facing the actual beach itself, right? So all of our water is on Speedway, which is like an alleyway behind those buildings. So the engine company has to go there to get their water, right? So the engine pulled up in the back, laid a line, pulled out 2.5 because it's we'll post videos of it, but it was a e-bike rental place. And it had already self-vented, and it was stem to stern, fully involved, this one business. And there's maybe 6 other businesses attached to it. So the engine pulls up. They pull a 2.5, right? 'Cause big fire, got to use big water. They pull a 2.5 to the back door, right? Open up that back door. Well, there was like a mezzanine above the back, and there was like an office back there. So they're at the door with a 2.5, but it's not really doing anything because they're hitting a wall back there, and they had to kind of maneuver their way through. So we pull up because we usually take off when there's a fire at the boardwalk. We take off. For those of you that don't know, when a task force goes to a fire, there's a specific order that the task force shows up in, right? Typically it's the truck is first, the engine company is second, and the pump is third. And it's all specific to the way that the operation happens at the fire, right? The engine company will pull up. They'll, snub the duals of the pump or something like that at the hydrant, take off. Now the pump can take that line, hook up to their pump, hook up to the hydrant, and he can pump water to the engine company.
Right.
When we have a fire on the boardwalk, though, us being in front of the truck, we usually just take off because we can get out of quarters faster than all the guys getting on the truck, and the truck has to fucking start up and it takes a minute to get going, where we're in a Ram truck, basically, So we'll take off to bird dog it, see exactly where the fire is, give the truck an idea of where they can set up and just kind of bird dog the whole thing for the captain too. So we take off, we kind of pull up around to the front of the building. The engine's on the backside. We come running around, ask the engineer if he needs any help, laying his line or whatever. He was good. We won't run up to the engine. They've already got the 2.5 out. They're squirting the back door. And Cat goes, hey, pull a line around to the front. So, they already pulled the 2.5 off. I run over, the engineer hands me an 1.75 inch. I pull that thing around to the front. Keep in mind, I don't really fight fire anymore, really. You know what I mean?
How long has it been?
Occasionally we'll go, the extent of it when I fight fire these days is like, I'll lay a line for the engine because we usually, pulling up behind the engine.
On a nozzle, something ripping, how long has
it been? A solid 7 years, dude, since I've really been in there, like doing it. You know what I mean? Like I'll do ancillary stuff. Like I'll finish some forcible entry around the house, or if it's a single family, or we'll go around and cut the rest of the place open or something like that. Put a couple lights for the guys, maybe pull a backup line for them, get a protection line up to the guys on the, what I mean? You're doing like ancillary stuff. But I don't really go into fires anymore, right? So I pull this 1.75 inch around, and luckily it was the last business on the end of this row of commercials, right? So you take the line, I run it all around, pull it, you always pull past, so you have a little extra hose. And I come around, luckily the front rolling steel, what happened was the owners were like staying in there, right? They had like a loft up top. And so they heard this popping. We think was probably one of the batteries going off, right? And got their stuff. They saw a fire started. They ran out and they opened the front rolling steel and pulled. There was like maybe 30, 40 e-bikes in there. Pulled a handful of bikes, maybe 10 bikes out. So when I come around the front rolling steel is open. And when I say stem to stern fully involved, I mean, it was like the entire freaking thing was fully involved.
The engine hadn't gone around to the front at all?
No, they were making entry through the back. Which is basically where like everybody makes entry for. It's like a street alley, right? But it's you could call it the A side. You could call it the front of the occupancy. Anyway,
right.
So I pull this line. There's all these bikes in front, right? And there's people out front, filming. Well, I always put people to work. If I need some help and you can help me pull this, like, this 4-inch because I'm laying a line or whatever, when we're in South Central, you tell kids like, hey, pull this hose line. People are excited to help you, It's like, holy shit, I'm helping the fire department. So I tell these guys, hey man, can you guys move these bikes out? And they're like, fuck yeah. They run over and they're dragging these bikes. And I, laying out the line and call for water. And then I I looked around. I'm like, fuck, I'm the only one here, right? And I see the truck pulled up, and the truck was like trying to spot over there. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. So I unzip my thing, pull my mask out, right? Try to remember how to fucking do this thing. Put my helmet back, throw my mask on. And I'm like, okay, all right. I guess I'm fighting fire. And then it was like 3 solid minutes, man, where I was like, it was like Backdraft, dude, where I was like a little kid again, like, or I was like a Ghostbuster or something, just standing in the door, freaking knocking all this fire down. And, you know, obviously you want to have a bigger line when you have a big fire like that, but you know, I had what I had, but knocked down a bunch of fire. I was up there for like 3 to 5 minutes by myself before the second engine brought a two and a half to back me up. And me and him knocked down a majority of the fire. The guys got up on the roof, cut a bunch of holes on the roof. It got into the next business a little bit, but it was a really good fire. And another interesting thing about it was our Captain 2, one of our engineers, and a first house rookie. It was their first day at 63s.
Oh, no way.
So within 30 minutes of their first day at 63s, we had this bitchin' ripping ass fire.
It's like this all the time.
Yeah, man. Fucking smoke eaters, man.
First house rookie?
First house rookie, dude.
Up?
Yeah. Showed up and
fire.
and that's like a whole nother, probably should have that kid on.
All right.
But you know, you show up for your first house, first day. It's freaking nerve-wracking. You're scared. You know what I mean? So, but to have a fire like that right off the bat, it's almost like we brought up the military in the last episode, right? It's almost like the military, like going through an experience of a battle or something like that with the military. You build a bond with people when you go through something like that. So for a first house rookie to show up, and he did he did an okay job. You know, scary for him, but good thing overall. You know what I mean? Because it helps you kind of relate
out of the way
and meld with your coworkers. But anyway, that happened. I just thought it was funny, man, because I'm like, I was talking about this with my partner too the other day. Like I told him, I go, yeah, God, you know what's funny, man, is I feel so like removed from actual firefighting these days. And it's not just the fact that we don't do it all that much anymore, because it is kind of like riding a bike. You know what I mean? Like I know what to look out for. I've been to plenty of fires and I feel comfortable in it. There's no like fear or anything. But like, since I was like actively fighting fire, like a regular thing when I was at 57s or 9s or whatever, it's almost like your uniform, in football or baseball, like when I pitched, right, for baseball, everything felt comfortable because it was my shit. My glove fit my hand perfectly. Yeah. My, sliding shorts, they knew that the way I kicked and everything felt comfortable. You know what I mean? My hat was like melted to my head because I've worn it in 50 different games.
But this time it felt weird.
Well,
like,
yeah, because
your mask had the price tag on it.
We have all new turnouts. We just got new helmets, right? They completely changed like the complete style and type of helmet that we have. Yeah. Completely different SCBAs. You know what I mean? When you're like at a place where you're actively fighting fire, like on the regular, you're throwing your shit all the time. You're throwing your turnouts. You go to turnout world and have them outfitted with the pockets the way you want them, because that's the way you've always had your webbing on this arm and this on this arm. And so it's almost second nature when you're doing something, you're working, you're like, oh shit, I need a wedge. Oh, I know my wedges are right here. It's second nature, you know?
Yeah.
My turnouts don't feel like that anymore. Right? Because like I don't wear them all the time. I don't have them like fully outfitted with all firefighting shit. Like I got like medical gloves in this pocket. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, and I was having this conversation with a partner, like, it just feels weird, like fighting fire. I don't feel like I used to feel like a fucking, like a fire slayer where like everything feels comfortable and I feel like this 7 foot tall, presence when I'm there with my shit on. I kind of feel just like a little bit of a fish out of water.
Yeah, because somebody put the shit on.
Yeah. So then when I wind up in front of, it's like that first in cartoon that dad has in the house where like the truck's pulling up and it's like, this drawing. Have you seen those drawings? Right. That's what it felt like. It was just like, holy fuck, this is a good going fire right here. And I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna fight this fire, put this damn thing on. Yeah. But yeah, it was just funny. I thought that was
hold on, man. Turnout Worlds, that's a real place? Or you just made that up?
No. Turnout World, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
That's what they call like our turnout place for LA City.
Okay, all right, yeah. I was picturing like a Costco of fucking turnouts, you know?
Yeah, but it's like Disneyland.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's get back in the episode here. That's my story for the day, folks. But yeah, I did post the civilians that were there that helped me pull the bikes out. Took some amazing videos of, and there's a page called Venice Paparazzi that took some amazing videos of that fire. But
our guest, also a firefighter, also at a task force, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There's only like a few task force for the county, right?
Yeah, there's not too many. Firehouse 8 has the first truck, and now we have a light force or task force. We have an engine, a 2-car which follows our truck.
Yeah,
and also a squad, paramedic squad.
Yeah. God, I wish we would go. So squads.
It's a truck. It's not a Quint.
It's a Quint. We call it a truck.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because our 2-car gives us water, so we treat it like a truck.
Yeah. Cool. And also at a touristy first in.
Yeah.
A lot of visitors, a lot of people come to party. You guys have like similarities to your districts, you know?
Exciting area. And if this studio caught on fire, we might show up on it. You know?
Yeah.
We're down the street.
It's a challenging district too, man. 8's because you have a pretty good spread of what you can respond to. I mean, you have, obviously Hollywood is in West Hollywood. There's a lot of partying. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of drugs. There's homeless. But then you also have the Hollywood Hills here, which when you have a structure fire in these hills, there's a lot of challenges that you have when fighting fire in the hills.
High rises, hotels, nightclubs.
Below grade, things going down.
Languages.
Yep,
spoken.
Russian. A big Russian community out here. We go on. We're part of a strike team for brush fires, so we'll send one of our engines out for that.
Yeah.
Just very dynamic area to work in.
Even something as simple as like spotting to a fire up here. Like you get one of these bigger houses going.
These windy streets.
The streets are so windy, but not only the streets, some of the damn driveways for the homes. You'll get like a gate in the front, and then it's another like private street just to get to the house from the friggin' driveway. You know. It's a crazy place to work. How long have you been assigned here to 8's?
I've been at 8's almost my whole career with LA County, so it was my second spot off of probation.
Oh, cool, man.
I've been there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So. You work at another department before county?
Not career. I did volunteer for Sierra Madre Fire Department.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool. 4 years with them.
So you were a medic too?
No, never a medic.
Oh, okay.
No, that you could just take your state academy, put in your app, and it's kind of like a good stepping stone to become career.
Yeah.
And now I believe they're all paid over there. So
they are.
Yeah.
So let's anytime we have a firefighter on, I always like to hear your like journey story of how you even decided you wanted to get into this career and what path you took to get there. Because I always tell people, just like through doing this and I used to run the station's Instagram page and just having like a social media presence. I get a lot of, especially since we've been doing the show, we get a lot of up and comers that are, just starting out, just getting into EMT school. Hey man, I just took the test for this, any pointers, stuff like that. I like to show people how, the fire department is a melting pot of people that come from all kinds of different backgrounds and stuff like that. How did the spark of even becoming a firefighter start with you?
Yeah. My journey was pretty long, and I used to get jealous of people who put in one app and got hired off their first test. And now I look back and I'm grateful for my journey because it built me into who I am today. But
sure.
I was born in Virginia. When I was 4, my family moved to Africa doing missionary work.
Oh, wow.
My dad worked for World Vision, which is a large nonprofit organization. And they do emergency relief work and build schools and sponsor kids. And
what part of Africa?
At the time, it was called Zaire.
Oh, okay.
It's called Democratic Republic of Congo now. There was a war going on when we went there. The Hotel Rwanda, have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were there during that time, and Zaire borders Rwanda.
Right.
So we were being affected by that quite a bit. You'd hear the gunshots, and I was pretty young, so you know, mom would say, "Oh, firecrackers," you know. But
and where were you guys? Like, what was your living situation there at this time? Was there any kind of protection?
Yeah,
because you were there with the.
So we were in Lubumbashi, Zaire, and it's kind of like more of a city. Setup, but we had a wall around the house, barbed wire on top of that, a gate, a guard at the gate, a guard dog. So that's how it was for most of the missionaries and people who were not local. That's how they lived, and if you had the money to protect yourself, you would.
How long were you there?
And so Africa was about 4 years. We didn't stay the whole time in Zaire. It got really bad, so we evacuated to South Africa, and South Africa was bad too. We didn't know.
This is you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just
as
Africa,
just young, you know. And you know that I didn't know any better.
I thought African wars
had a war childhood, you know.
Dude, that's wild, man.
But yeah, Johannesburg in South Africa. We were only there a year before we tried to move back to Zaire, and we weren't there for very long before we came to the States.
Johannesburg was so bad, you guys were like get us back to Zaire.
Well, dude, I mean, it wasn't as bad, but it was still dangerous. Johannesburg is like a lot like you could confuse it for America, but the gangs are bad.
Yeah.
So we, the house that we moved into, apparently, like the family before us had been killed in the house. We didn't find out until after we moved.
Jesus.
They don't have to disclose that in Africa. They do here, but we had like panic buttons on our like necklace, panic buttons, and
man,
we just had to like keep an eye out, be careful. Didn't go out at night, all that stuff.
Your dad never questioned this line of work?
You know, he called by God, you know, so he was trusting. You know, he put his faith before everything and trusted that God would take care of us and the family. And
any brothers and sisters?
I have 2 younger sisters. Okay. We're all 7 years apart. So my youngest sister never made it to Africa.
Yeah.
But the sister closest to me in age, she was,
Oh, you have a sister 7 years older and a sister 7 years younger?
No, they're both younger.
7,
so,
okay, got
7 and then 14.
I guess 14.
Okay.
So that was Africa. From Africa, we moved to Connecticut for a little bit. I was going to middle school.
And you're what, 8 years old, 9 years old at this time?
Yeah.
How was that to adjust to Connecticut after?
Oh, culture shock. Bro. Yeah, big time. I think my favorite things were like a Burger King slushie, like that was amazing. Never had like cold drinks or anything really. And movies. We didn't have movie theaters in Africa, so and to this day I still love the movies.
Yeah, me too.
So those are big, and then I was able to like hang out with my friends more. It was safer to go out and just do fun things and not worry about
get murdered. You basically just had to be in the house all the time before. Damn.
So so I was there until I was 12, and then we moved to Haiti. And for those of you who don't know, Haiti is an island in the Caribbean. It's attached to the Dominican Republic. Together they make up the island of Hispaniola, and it's about 565 miles south of Florida.
This is after the earthquake?
This is before.
Yeah,
this is before.
So in this period where you're in Connecticut, your dad still wanted to do missionary work the whole time?
It's like, I can't
He's
be
like,
here
I gotta
anymore.
find another country. This Connecticut bullshit.
He took a break.
Damn suburb.
He actually worked for like a health food company and a homeless shelter in New York City. So it's always helping people and that sort of thing.
Dude, we got to have you back with your dad.
Oh, my dad's an amazing guy. He's in Connecticut right now, so they live over there. But if he comes and visits, he's a very interesting guy.
Yeah.
So you guys, life's going along in Connecticut, movies, Burger King, things are cool. And then he's like, we're moving to Haiti.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me because
I'm sure
at that point, you're like 12, you have all your friends are everything to you, right? I had a good friend group, and that was like I was all about it, right?
Yeah,
just enjoying the American good life, hanging out with my friends, and then we go to the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, Haiti.
Yeah.
which is also a very dangerous country. Most kidnappings per capita in the city that we moved to, and
Jesus,
yeah. So
there's like a big like AIDS problem too, right?
Yep. Yep. Just like it's like a condensed Africa. I would compare it to
Africa of the West.
Yeah. So yeah, we ended up moving there. Same thing. World Vision had called him up and wanted him in Haiti, and so along the same lines of work, emergency relief work with World Vision. And I went through high school there. So I ended up at a English speaking private school, and it would be like school and home and church and home, and like that was pretty much it. Like it was pretty dangerous.
I'll say you're back to where you were. There was no Burger King.
No Burger King.
This damn drink is hot.
Yep. So that first year was really tough on me. I had to really wrap my head around the fact that it's day by day over there. Like you definitely, you're seeing dead people in the street. You're hearing gunfires. Like everybody has guard dogs, and there's barbed wire, and there's walls, and there's riots. They burn tires all the time. Like you can always see loom ups. Yeah. And all over the city, all the time.
You can call them headers, dude.
All right, there we go. You checked them. I don't know what we can say on the show. But,
this is like 5 years that you do this, basically?
I think it was 3. Yeah. So I actually moved to California. I was still in high school.
Okay.
And we had to like really evacuate out of Haiti. It was getting really bad. The government was being ousted. He got overthrown.
Yeah.
And
then get assassinated? Didn't the president get assassinated? Haiti?
More recently, yeah.
Okay.
But
this is after that.
Yeah, this guy, he fled the country. I think he went to Africa. But he was paying gangs to like cause violence, kill people, just like destroy the country.
Yeah.
And there was an earthquake while you were there? Or was that
so I experienced the Haiti earthquake in 2010, 5 years later. And I moved to California, got established, but went back to visit. It was my first time visiting Haiti after being out of the country for 5 years.
Like your parents stay?
Were your parents still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no way. So you got out on your own?
We got out together, and then I established myself here, started pursuing firefighting, and they moved back.
This is while you were in high school still? You were finishing high school?
They left right as I finished high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was 18.
Damn.
So, yeah, most people like leave their family. My family left me.
But you were kind of like, all right with it.
Yeah. No, I was good. I was pretty independent.
You don't want to go to Haiti.
I grew up fast with like everything that we had already
I'll
been
bet.
through.
You had to.
Dude, so you go back and visit, and then that's when the earthquake hits?
Yeah.
Damn.
It was crazy timing. Didn't plan it. Obviously, we don't know like when a natural disaster is going to happen. And I got there. The reason for the visit was I hadn't been there in a while. So go see my friends and visit my family. And I'd also had some fire training. At that point, I was an explorer. I had my EMT certification. I'd taken some college classes for fire science, and the United Nations was opening up like a fire department, I guess, like a very like minimal fire department.
Sure, yeah.
So I went and to see if I could like help out and volunteer. And
where were you an explorer at? What county or
LA County?
Okay,
yeah.
You went through like their Explorer Academy and all that stuff.
Yeah, in 2008, class of 48, Fire Explorer. Academy is when I graduated, but I did like 5 or 6 years. It's like the whole stint.
That's one of the really great things that county, in my opinion, does better than the city as far as like their explorers. That Explorer Academy is really great. If for you kids out there that are looking for a volunteer program or something like that, LA County's Explorer program puts them through Explorer Academy, which is like a little mini fire academy to teach you basically how to be an explorer, how to be fight fire a little bit, and go to musters and different things like that. But then you show up to the fire station, you're basically like an extra firefighter. You just can't go into any fires or anything that's like immediately dangerous to your life.
Right.
But it's a great program. So
yeah, I would recommend. That's the first thing I would recommend to anyone of age who wants to be a firefighter. 15 and a half to, I think you can't be older than 21.
21, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have all your EMT, you've gone through an Explorer Academy, you've been exposed to some firefighting, a little bit of rescue stuff probably. and you hear about the UN trying to start somewhat of a fire department, so you came back to try to volunteer. And how long had you been there before the earthquake hits?
I think it had been like maybe 5 days.
Oh, really? Right when you got there, huh?
So what I had to end up doing with the UN, the United Nations, is they still wanted me to come in and interview, even though I'd like taken the time off, like bought the plane tickets and everything. I figured if they didn't want me, I'd just visit, hang out down there. But I got there and I was like, I want to get to work. Like my interview's not for a week. How about I call them up and see if we could do the interview early. And that saved my life. Had I done that interview, it was on the day of the earthquake.
Whoa.
During the time of the earthquake. And everybody in that building died. 300 people died.
Whoa.
Holy
and I would have been there.
Dude.
So,
the building collapsed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
So we did it the day before.
You would think the United Nations building would be the one that they
put some steel in there.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I don't know. A lot of buildings, even with steel, came down.
Yeah.
It was just a massive earthquake. So some facts. It was a 7.0 earthquake, which some people don't think is very big, but it is, especially if your infrastructure is not very strong.
Sure, yeah.
And also the duration of time. It was 39 seconds long.
Oh,
it was pretty long.
Man.
Yeah.
After 5 seconds, it's like really scary. Like it's not fun anymore. And then it was shallow. It was like very shallow to the surface. So, I was on the second floor of an orphanage when the earthquake hit. And the 39 seconds seemed like 5 or 10 minutes. It seemed like
sure, dude.
forever.
Yeah, that's so long.
And I'd never, even living in California, I never really experienced a good earthquake. Or not good, but like a sizable earthquake where I recognized it. And so at first I thought like maybe a Big Mac truck was barreling down the street.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it pretty soon, like somebody yelled earthquake. I'm like, oh shoot. Yeah, definitely an earthquake. Yeah. And, it got like super loud and the buildings around us started coming down. So being on the second floor, I'm like, okay, I gotta survive this. Like, what do I do? So I saw a truck down below. I was like, all right, that's gonna be my escape. I'm gonna jump on the truck if I need to, but I'm not gonna jump if I don't need to. Because there's also there's 110 kids in this orphanage.
Yeah.
And so I want to look out for them too, but I can't help them as a fireman. Like, can't help them if I'm dead too. So I gotta save myself and save everybody else. And the second floor was all special needs kids, so they couldn't self-rescue as it was.
Yeah.
But kept shaking, and dust was flying up in the air. It was getting loud. Other buildings were coming down. Everything in our building was like off the walls. Cracks were coming in the walls, but our building didn't collapse.
Jesus.
So we were like very fortunate. And as soon as it stopped, we evacuated out all the kids. There's walls around these buildings, so the walls didn't fall either, which was great. But we had to find an area away from the wall and away from the building where we could like sit down
away from the collapse zone,
be out of the collapse zone. And after that, there was like over the next couple of weeks, there's hundreds of aftershocks, and some as big as 5.0, which brought down
which
more
is
buildings.
big.
Yeah, especially like in a compromised structure. Those will bring down more buildings, kill more people.
Jesus.
So yeah, that was my experience. Later that night, I wasn't with my family. Later that night, my dad found me, and it was dark by this point. None of the cell phones worked. All the towers went down. Everybody's trying to make calls. Not working. There's no communication. I didn't know how big it was because I was down in the city. Nobody really knew at that point how big it was. But this was the largest natural disaster in modern history. 300,000 people died.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Over 1 million were left homeless. Over 1 million were injured. Like, it took out like almost the whole country. There's 7 million people in the whole country.
Yeah, they never recovered.
Yeah. So my dad found me that night, and he like pulled me aside. He's like, Trevor, I gotta talk to you. I went back to the apartment where your mom and your sisters were, and there's nobody alive in those apartments, and we knew that your mom and sisters were there during the time of the earthquake. And so they were on the bottom floor of a 5-story apartment hanging off the side of a mountain that pancaked down. Like every floor came down. And so he basically said that they're dead.
Yeah.
Unconfirmed, but nobody's alive in the apartments. So I was like, nah, there's no way. Like,
Jesus.
I didn't want to believe it. And he had a vehicle, and he took me to his pastor's house, which is up the mountain, to try and find a satellite phone where we could get out, talk to the States.
Yeah.
Oh, and a fun fact about my dad, he was the director of World Vision Haiti at the time, and he was the first point of contact that the U.S. had with Haiti. So CNN, Wolf Blitzer called, got a hold of my dad, had him on the line. What's going on down there? He had no idea.
Yeah.
It was like seconds after it happened. But so, yeah.
Wow.
So we got up to this mountain, and it's a little bit safer up there. It took us a long time because there's all these like the streets are, you're pretty much making your own streets because all these walls fell into the street. There's bodies in the streets. You don't want to run over those out of respect. So it was just really hard navigating around the city. We did make a phone call on a satellite phone, called a few people back in the States, told them me and my dad, we're good. We don't know about anybody else.
Yeah.
We're planning our next attack, I guess, on what we're going to do. So that night, couldn't sleep. More and more aftershocks were hitting. And I just wanted to believe, like, I was trying to like reason it. You know, like, oh, maybe one of them made it out, you know, or like, I was trying to be hopeful.
Sure.
And the next morning, early, got up, and I was just waiting for like sunrise because like I wanted to get out there.
Yeah.
Hadn't slept all night, and I was telling my dad, "Come on, let's go." And he's like, "No, we got to eat. We need our strength and stuff." And I knew he was right. So sat down, we ate, and he starts talking about funeral plans, and I was just like, oh, that's when it hit me really hard, because up until that point, I was like trying to believe, you know, that
they could be out there,
they were gonna be okay, and here he is talking about funeral plans. He plans really well, so like that's how his mind works, and stuff, and he's very practical. But yeah, so I had to get up. I hadn't cried or anything for my family yet, and I got up and I left the table. I walked out to, there's a little balcony at this house overlooking, we're up in the mountains overlooking the city, and it's my first time seeing the city in the daylight.
Yeah. After the earthquake.
Yeah. And it's so vivid in my memory. I still like remember it to this day. This was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
The sun is rising. There's smoke everywhere. The earthquake created a lot of fires.
Sure.
And then just like wailing. So you could hear people crying and like people singing and trying to console each other, and still like a haze of like debris in the air, like dust and stuff. So yeah, I just remember that, and that's when I started to cry. Like I saw all that imagery and like
all hit you, huh?
Yeah, one for my family, and then two for the country, because they just all experienced like so much, and that's when it became a little bit more real, that it wasn't just like a tiny earthquake that like affected a few people. This hit the whole country. So from that point, we drove down the mountain to my dad's office to go get like shovels and water and some supplies to go dig, go find them. And we pulled in the front gate, and as we're pulling in the front gate, my mom and both my sisters come hobbling in the back gate.
Jesus.
And they're beat up. They're covered in debris. They're like powdery white, like with like injuries, blood injuries, like showing through the powder. And my sister, the older sister, is barefoot, and she's holding my mom, and they're kind of hobbling together. And then at first, I didn't see my youngest sister. She was 4 at the time, and I was like, oh no, maybe she didn't make it. But somebody else brought her in, and she was barefoot too, and she couldn't see. She had all this like debris in her eyes. And
oh man,
they're all good now.
Jesus.
Whoa. Took a lot of like, there's some PTSD, involved with all that. So
Jesus.
Took a few years, but they're all doing great now.
That was a roller coaster of a story, man. It really was. I wasn't sure where we were going with that.
Yeah, I know, right? I wasn't ready for this. You sat down, man.
God, what an experience, man. I mean, you go through, like on the fire department, big incidents, or, I used to be involved with USAR with our department, and we've gone through a couple of the train derailments and La Conchita landslide up by Santa Barbara when I was in my third house. And it hits you, you know, a certain way, especially when like La Conchita is kind of a little bit of the same, you know, huge hillside collapse on this little surf town, La Conchita, and basically buried the whole town. And we're there digging people out for days and days and days. But when it involves family and people that you know and love, and the not knowing and not being able to communicate, like all that together, I can only imagine seeing that sunrise in the morning and letting that all soak in and having it hit you. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Was that the catalyst for leaving Haiti, or since your dad was so involved with the relief situation there, did he have to obviously stay there and help with all that stuff, or what was the next step after you found your family? And
so pretty much right after we found the family, we were trying to give them like medical attention and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the stops was my dad passed the baton to the second in command over at World Vision, and they knew that our situation was kind of unique, where like we all were majorly affected, but without any deaths.
Right.
And so they knew, like, and he had already talked to America and everybody that he reports to. Yeah. They're like, my dad's name is Frank. There's Frank, take care of your family, and pass the baton, you know?
Yeah.
So he did that, and we made our way over to the U.S. Embassy, and they got, it was the Air Force who evacuated out my dad, my mom, and my two sisters. And I was like, I gotta stay. Like, I have all this training. Like, I want to help.
Yeah.
I know the language. I'm an EMT.
Now, you had your interview with the UN already. Were you part of that organization now, or had that not gotten to that part before the?
I did go back there. I even had like a ID badge and everything. But from that point on, I was trying to fit in where I could be the most effective.
Sure, yeah.
So initially, it was with World Vision. They're like, "Oh, Frank's son, you know, he must be like just as good as Frank." And
yeah, he knows
not
everything.
the case.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was 19 at this point.
Yeah.
So I was young, and they had me like in charge of food distributions at World Vision, and we tried this 2 times. Both times it was a disaster. Like, we got totally overran by people.
Yeah.
We'd show up with trucks full of food and water and try and distribute it, and it became very dangerous very quickly.
Yeah.
And the first one especially, like, it was scary. And so I was like, pack it up, we're out of here. And it was hard to get out of there. Like, people were like rocking the truck and jumping on top of us. And so the second one, I was like, okay, we need like multiple exits. I want like armed security with us, like very orderly, like have people come in. And we tried that, and it worked for a little bit, and then still like it got out of control.
No shit.
And
you're 19, and you got to figure out like what's the time for us to bail.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, I called it. I'm like, oh, they're not getting food then. So from there, I was like, I don't think like this is where I need to be right now. I have other skills that are more effective. I ended up joining up with a private search and rescue team, and we went around the city trying to help pull bodies out and stuff. And it was tough. It was tough. I did see LA County's Task Force 2 search and rescue team. They came down. I was wearing county stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I was still an explorer at the time, and I lost everything in our apartment collapse. But I was wearing a county hat, a county shirt. Yeah. And I saw them at the U.S. Embassy fly in, and I was like, hey guys, county. Yeah. And so I asked them if I could like help them out, and they're like, no, they got so many rules and everything.
Sure. Oh yeah.
It crushed me a little bit, but in my heart I was like, okay, one day I'm going to be a firefighter with county. Yeah. And then,
but I've been through the Explorer Academy, sir.
Explorer. But eventually I did get on the task force with LA County, and that's like 2 more years of classes and everything. But anyway, to backtrack, I worked with a private search and rescue team. We pulled body parts out. We didn't find anybody viable. And then I ended up meeting a helicopter rescue team at the airport. Or not rescue, they were just there, like they were wealthy, and they brought down 3 helicopters and they just wanted to help. And I like gave them my pitch, like I was here during the earthquake, I know the language, like I could probably help out a little bit. And so they let me on their helicopters.
Oh, nice.
And that was the most fun and most effective work that I did while I was down there. Because all day long we were loading up bags of food and hovering and dropping them. And we'd drop them into rivers and people would just come out of the woodworks.
That's probably the best way to distribute food.
That was pretty good. Yeah, we had to figure it out because sometimes we'd land and people started like jumping in the helicopter. It got real dangerous.
Man, that's so crazy.
At one point, the helicopter took off while I was still on the ground. I had to jump. I had to jump in as it was.
Oh my god!
You grabbed the thing.
So it was like
shit.
a movie.
What?
Yeah.
You TJ hooked it up,
dude.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So that was great. Good work. I worked at some hospitals. They wanted my national registry card.
Oh, no
these
shit.
are like MASH hospital tents from University of Miami, big tents. And I had gone back to our apartment collapse, pulled out my wallet. Somebody else had already found it because they go and loot. And they took my money, but my wallet was sitting there. And it would have been deep, like farther in than I would have wanted to climb in the building.
Yeah.
And but I got my beat up national registry card.
Perfect.
And my wallet. And they looked me up and they were like, all right, cool. You can do whatever you want now. So I was like starting IVs, like pushing drugs, helping with surgeries. We took a kid's eye out. We were cutting legs off.
As an EMT?
Yeah. But they're like, you're not an EMT, but you're in the club.
You know anything about eye surgery?
Trauma surgeon now? Yeah, dude.
No, I don't know anything about eye surgery, but I'm a quick learner.
So you just pull it up? Okay.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So that, and we did some rubble removal too. So people didn't have water. So we cleared out some wells and stuff. So we could get water again.
So how much longer did you stay?
It was about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you back to LA.
Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of communication with my family at the time. I wasn't sleeping very much. I was just trying to be as effective as possible. And like you had mentioned earlier before we started recording, doctors come in and they only stay for like a little bit of time and then they bounce. Yeah. And so at one point at those hospitals, I had the most seniority. Like I'd been there, I'd been there the longest. So I was in charge of orthopedic surgery.
You're a medical director.
And so, not really, but people would burn out quick because there's just so much work to do. And you'd work until you couldn't work anymore. And then you'd go take a nap, find an MRE, eat some food, and then get back at it. Because even with all the like crush injuries and like people that they were digging out of the rubble, all the prisons broke open too. And so all the worst people were out there being violent. So there's like gunshot wounds coming in and like gang violence coming in on top of all the other violent stuff. So after about 3 weeks, I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to go home. And I just showed up at the airport. Everybody told me like, there's no way you're getting out of Haiti. There's no like commercial airlines flying through here. People have been backed up at the airport for weeks trying to get out. Like your chance was at the U.S. Embassy, initially that was your golden ticket out of there. I was like, my golden ticket was to stay here. But so anyway, I showed up at the airport and didn't have my passport or anything, no money, like had lost all that stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to walk as far as I can through the airport and see if I get stopped.
Me. Yeah.
So I did. I walked. Security didn't stop me. I walked through all the checking. They didn't stop me. Nobody asked me for a ticket. There weren't any tickets. Yeah. I got all the way out to the tarmac. And there was people with like sleeping bags and tents and luggage who had just been living out there waiting for
any flights. Yeah.
And there's like these little private charters that would come and go. And then giant relief like China and Japan and like all these other countries would come and drop food, but they wouldn't take people out of there. So within 30 minutes, I was on a private charter airplane. Somebody came up to me and they're like, hey, we got one more spot. Like, we felt like we should ask you. And I was like, okay.
Thank you.
I'm on it. So it was clearly like a path was being paved for me to get out of Haiti because nobody was getting out.
Well, I mean, the whole story, man, sometimes like, you don't really understand the path of your life until you stop and look backwards, and see how you got to where you are and prepared for the things that life is throwing at you, But it's just such a trip that so far in your life, you've gone through all these experiences that ultimately prepared you for this whole experience in Haiti.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying too, because you said you had a long path then to become a firefighter. I would think you sit down at an interview and you lay on this story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
light up a cigar.
Welcome aboard.
Take a seat, boys. I'm going to tell you a story.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
This is wild, dude. So you came back, because we got to kind of try to cover a lot of ground in 15 minutes here now.
Got it.
Yeah. You went to, because usually people don't go to Sierra Madre first.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So to get hired, this is my career path. Explore first, and while I was doing that, as soon as I turned 18, as soon as I could put in my application, I put in with LA County, because that's like what I've been learning, and I liked it. I knew I liked it. But throughout it took me 7 years to get hired. Yeah. And I applied to 60 different fire departments.
God, damn.
Flew all over the country. Even with that. Flew all over the country. Tested for New York, a lot of places in Texas, Washington. But it ended up working out with county. And I was watching, you had Tyrone on here, a friend of mine. He went through the same thing, 2008, all the hiring freezes were going on.
About that.
So I was being affected by that as well. Every step of the process took a year or two.
Yeah.
The written test, the oral, the medicals, medical labs, another medical, the background labs, another background. So it just took a very long time. But I was persistent. I kept my nose clean, stayed out of trouble. I was working as a carpenter at the time, commercial construction, and I was treating that like I was a firefighter. Like I'd throw my ladder like I would at the fire department. I'd set up my extension cord like I would a hose lay.
And that too, like how much working in construction probably helped you as a firefighter as well. So
I highly recommend a trade for anybody trying to get on the job. I tap into that almost every day. And that's kind of where the Williams.
I was going to say, that's how you get to your business here. Yeah.
So now you're on the job, you're working as a firefighter, you're here at Eights. How does the Williams key come to be?
So from my construction background, I was really good with locks. I've got like almost like an x-ray vision when it comes to doors. And we never know what's on the other side of a door, but I know it should be on the other side of the door. So that gave me an advantage. And I was always making my own tools, and I had my toolkits and bags of just elevator picks and all sorts of things to get into all sorts of different types of doors. And a crude version of the Williams key is something I'd made a long time ago. And it's like, some of this is common knowledge, you know, it's just a piece of metal. And we're just trying to jimmy a lot.
So, we've had a square on, hold it up so everyone can see it there.
It's like a framing square. And we do custom engraving, so this will go over to your station.
Appreciate it.
But it started out with non-painted metal version of this, and it has a shove knife on this side, which if you can visualize the strike of a lock, you can grab it with that and toggle it. And then if there's anti-vandal plate in the way, this side will reach behind that. And this will push your strike or your slam latch out of the way.
If you guys go to the Williams Key Instagram page, he has a lot of examples on there of the different types of doors and stuff. It really is kind of amazing and jarring. We were talking about it earlier about damn man, this thing opens every goddamn door. Like what? Like trying to figure out what type of lock we can get to secure our place better,
dude. Like I'm just putting a Ring doorbell in my house now, you know what I mean? I gotta up the game.
When you first made your first one, you just made it for yourself to have at the station and started using it on incidents, stuff like that. And then were guys like, "Oh shit, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, exactly. So I was pulling it out on almost every call, and it was working a lot of the time. It doesn't work all the time, but it works a lot of the time. And
like it's not going to open a deadbolt or anything like that, you know?
So, and I was like, I should sell locks on my website too. You know, like, hey, if you're worried about the Williams key, get a better lock. You know,
exactly.
Have one for sale.
The Williams lock.
But yeah, people saw me using this all the time, and before long, they're like, hey, can I get one of those? And people started asking me, and it's like not that easy to make. You know, there's a process to it. So eventually, enough people would ask me to where I was like, I'm gonna make a small batch.
Yeah.
And so I did and gave it to like 20 people. And then it's just like word of mouth took off. Hey, can I buy one of your tools? And then the batches started getting larger and larger. I found out I could engrave on them. So that the custom thing, everybody loves that.
Everybody loves those. Yeah.
I think that really helped. Anything you can customize, like less likely to get stolen.
And if you're selling it to firefighters,
yeah, they love all that
having
stuff.
Your name on shit.
And then I used to engrave the logo, and it was like I've done like 15,000 of these at this point, so that was taking a lot of time. So now we screen print the logo, which actually turns out nicer. But yeah, it just took off fast from there, and my life has been moving 1,000 miles an hour ever since.
How long have you been doing it?
2020 is when it really like took off.
Yeah. And are you seeing? Are you selling them all over the country now? Like we've shipping all over the country,
all 50 states, and probably 30 different countries, like internationally.
Oh wow.
Jeez. Yeah, I've got a big map in my office with like pins on it, and
that's awesome.
I don't keep track of the U.S. anymore because it's just like everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah. But the new countries, I'm like, all right, cool. We'll throw another pin up.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Well, it's like I said, man. Every damn firefighting page that I follow, I've seen an advertisement for Williams key on it. Nice. And yeah, like I said, every single call is a call that you can use this.
You could use it, yeah.
You know,
yeah. I mean, obviously, if there's a fire, we want to like kick down the door.
Yeah. We'll cut that thing open.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Like I love irons and rotary saws too. There's a time and place for those.
Sure, yeah.
But if we don't need to, like, I know how much a door costs, like $2,000-3,000 to replace.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want to leave your grandma with a broken door if you don't have to, especially if you went in the wrong house.
Yeah, and people should know that is always a consideration when we come on to stuff that, like, we're always looking for. Obviously, we got to get in. There's an emergency. We got to get in, or grandma fell down in the back and she can't get to the front door or something like that. But we're always trying to consider the way we can get in with the least amount of damage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of newer construction apartment building, like enclosed apartment buildings with like metal door frames and stuff like that, where like, you got to cut it. You're not gonna kick it in. You're not gonna cut it. So you find maybe you'll cut a square out of the drywall to reach through and get your hand. You're always kind of, it's like one of the things a good firefighter is always going to try to think about. How can I do this best without destroying this person's property?
Yeah,
and this thing makes that just a whole lot easier, man.
Yeah,
this was cool, man. This is like we're Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know what I'm saying? He gave us his story, pitched the product.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's great, man.
Yeah. Do you want to go on Shark Tank?
No, a lot of people ask me that. I'm busy enough. Right. I want to stay a firefighter. Like, I love my job. I do it for free. If I become like independently wealthy or whatever from this stuff, I'd like to keep being a fireman. I just love it.
Is this patented? Do you have a patent on it?
No, this stuff is so simple. It's like a piece of metal and stuff. So I don't, and I tell people
don't trust Shark Tank. Trust me.
Yeah, right.
I've got a bad Shark Tank story.
Well, I tell people, hey, if you can't afford it, I'm just out here trying to help people. So if you can't afford it, make it yourself.
Yeah.
I have other products and stuff too that are a little more complicated, and maybe buy those for me. But like it's a nice product. I've branded it well. Like that kind of sells it and protects it and whatnot. There's other tools out there like this.
Yeah.
But I think people come to me because they know it's a good product.
Sure.
And they know they're getting something substantial. So
sure.
Yeah. And they don't even know your backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I'm saying. It's a cool origin
now
story.
They do.
This was crazy, dude.
Well, awesome, man. We're coming up to time right now, but amazing story. Obviously, we got in touch because we're interested in the tool, and then in talking to you and getting to know you, found out this crazy story about your life.
Yeah, seriously.
I just think it's incredible the way your path led you to, having such a big impact to the people that you were helping in Haiti, and how your path just led you that and really prepared you for that.
Yeah.
We talked about burnout with different people that go and volunteer and stuff like that. So to have grown up in areas like that, in situations like that, with that kind of like just turmoil happening all around you, really kind of helps to put you at ease when you're, forced to be in a situation like that and in a position to help people. Yeah. So it's just funny to me, like all these stories that we hear from different people that come on the podcast, and we're not very religious at all, but it's just crazy, like how it always tends to lean toward, God, it really seems like life prepared you for this thing that you went through, man.
Yeah.
So hearing your story is just incredible to me, man. And if you're ever interested in doing any kind of volunteer work like that or anything like that, we have another episode with the disaster relief person that talked all about that as well. Give this episode another listen and look into doing those things, because I'm sure they're incredibly fulfilling too, to be able to go and work and do stuff like that, missionary work.
Yeah, the episode he's talking about, I think it's 83. It's Mike Noon, International Disaster Aid Worker. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting stuff.
Trevor, thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find your product and buy one if they want to?
WilliamsKey.com is the best place to go. We've got a lot of distributors now at this point, so if you Google it, you'll find a spot. And then all the social media stuff, the Williams Key. Okay. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And then if you have questions, feel free to email me, thewilliamskey@gmail.com. Right. I'm always down to talk shop, and send me pictures of doors, send me your videos. I'm constantly getting content from people who are like, check this out. I got
look what I can do with it. Yeah. Cool. You're like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
All right. When's your book coming out, man?
Funny you should mention that. Yeah. I did start a book a long time ago.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it.
You definitely got to finish that, dude.
Yeah, I'm in on
you
this
definitely got to finish
100%,
that,
dude. Yeah, that's story.
And when you do, we'll have you back on. You tell the whole story again.
Give you guys a signed copy,
Yeah, definitely, dude. Definitely.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
You guys can follow me at DannyGonzo34 on Instagram.
You can follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben9Humor on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow our show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok. You can email us if you have questions about the Williams Key as well. Contact prcpod@gmail.com. We also have a Shopify store. T-shirts. Mr. Williams here is going to get one of these T-shirts. Cool T-shirts, you guys. And he also has his own merch that he brought.
We do.
Because we've got stickers. He's got stickers. Yeah. These are cool stickers. Hold them up.
We got a ton of stickers.
Look at this. Look at this Williams Key Enterprises.
Yeah, man.
He's doing it right here.
Yeah, look at this. A hoodie.
We got apparel. We got hats.
Yeah. We got door tags.
Let's see here. This matches the shirt.
Yeah, nice.
That's the logo.
Yeah, that's cool.
People love the
Punisher
stuff,
logo. Yeah.
So it's actually it's similar. It's a keyhole.
It's a keyhole.
So yeah. And then I'll just show this real quick. These are door hangers for after you break into a place and nobody is home. You can leave them a little message so they don't think they got robbed.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's another little product. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Listen, guys, I really appreciate you listening to the podcast. If you took the time to listen to this whole podcast, please like, comment, all that stuff helps us with placement of the podcast, helps us to grow. We're still trying to grow an audience here. So all of that helps. We really appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you.